Everybody, my name is Gordon. I'm 17 years old, and for a year already, I've had a girlfriend. Well, I had a girlfriend. I would like to tell you why I broke up with her. I liked Emma very much. She was so fragile, so modest, so beautiful. Most modern girls aim to be in no way inferior to guys, but Emma was pure meekness. She always let me choose which movie to watch or which meal to order, and she never argued with me. I always felt very strong and masculine when I was with her. But as time passed, I started to find these particular qualities pretty annoying. Maybe I just didn't appreciate how lucky I was, but I got bored because she always agreed with me. The only thing that she was painfully strict about was the time that she had to be at home. She was petrified by the very idea that she could come home after 8 p.m. Once, we were stuck in traffic on our way back from the movies, and she sobbed violently all the way home, and she didn't want to explain to me why she couldn't simply call home and explain that she'd be like 15 minutes late. At first, I thought that her parents were very strict, but then I met them at a picnic, and they seemed very nice. Emma's mother was still very beautiful, and Emma looked and acted a lot like her, very quiet and polite. I doubt she's ever scolded anyone. Emma's father, Mark, made a great impression on me. Very bright, witty, self-confident, and charismatic. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I even tried to compare him to my own father, and my old man totally lost. So I'd taken a lot of pictures on the day of the picnic, and the day after, my mother and I went to visit her sister, my aunt. I've loved Aunt Mary since my childhood, and I always tell her in detail about everything that is going on in my life. So, she knew that I had a girlfriend, and now I told Aunt Mary that I'd finally met Emma's family and showed her the photos from yesterday's picnic. Aunt Mary couldn't wait to see the pictures, until she saw Emma's father in one of them. She broke off, and it seemed like her hand was shaking. "Do you know what his name is?" she asked in a strange, empty voice. And when I answered, "Of course, it's Mark," she jumped up and ran out of the room. My mother followed her, and I was left alone in the room, totally clueless. Soon, my mother came back, looking very serious. "She'll be all right," she said, answering my silent question, and then added, "But you have to know something. A while ago, your Aunt Mary knew Mark very well, and it was the most terrible story of her life. And my mom told me that Mary and Mark used to go out together, a long time ago, before I was even born. In the beginning, everything was fine, and Aunt Mary was head over heels in love with this brilliant macho guy. But soon, she realized that Mark was trying to control her more and more. He decided what she should wear, which girls she should be friends with, and even which books she should read. And when she tried to object, he became more and more aggressive. When he hit her for the first time, she was ready to leave him, but he didn't want to let her go. He became so nice again and asked for forgiveness, promising that everything would change. But nothing changed. As soon as Mary thought that everything was back to normal, Mark started to tighten his grip, and everything turned out bad again. Mary tried to leave him, he wouldn't let her go, and the story repeated again. And again, and again. At the end, Mary no longer understood what was going on and what she felt toward Mark. Whether she loved him or whether she was afraid of him. She kept telling her parents that everything was great and that they were going to get married, until her older sister, my mother, noticed the bruises on her hands and demanded that she tell her the truth. My mother helped Aunt Mary to get rid of her abuser. They went to the police, and Mary got a court order to keep Mark away from her. But Mary never got over this relationship. Neither pills nor psychologists could help her. Since then, she's been afraid of being in a relationship and has stayed single forever. I was shocked, and as we went home, I was thinking about Emma, her mother, and Mark. I started to realize that he hasn't changed at all. I remembered that Emma's mother was wearing a long-sleeved shirt, probably to hide the bruises from her husband's hands. I remembered how both she and her daughter meekly agreed with him. I also remembered how Emma was scared of being home late, even by like a minute. She was scared to death. I have to confess that when I went out with Emma the next time, I conducted a cruel experiment. We went to the coffee shop where I used to always order a blueberry dessert for her. I thought she liked it, but now I wasn't sure about anything. When we sat at the table, I asked, "The usual?" And she nodded, smiling. "No," I said. "Now it's time for you to try something different. I'm going to get you hot wings." "That's fine," said Emma, and her smile became pitiful. When our order was served, I got up and said, "I changed my mind. We're leaving." Emma got up and took her handbag with no objection. Her smile stayed there, as if it were nailed to her face. It was scary. "Does your father really love it all?" I asked her in a shocked voice, and at that moment, she finally stopped smiling, and I could not hold myself back anymore. I told her everything I had learned about Mark and my Aunt Mary. Emma listened to me without even looking at me. Somewhere deep in my heart, I was hoping that she would say that it was all wrong, that her father was not like that, but she just kept listening. But when I told her that her and her mother have to do something in order to change the situation and that I was ready to help them, Emma changed. She literally screamed at me that I had no right to interfere with their life, that they were both happy, she and her mother, and that her father just had a stern temper, and if they started to complain, it would ruin his career. I could not believe my ears. I just looked at her in silence, with eyes wide open, and finally asked, "Is your mother willing to go through all this humiliation and abuse because her husband earns good money?" Emma answered, "You just don't understand." And I swear, she said it with contempt for me. Well, Emma was right. I really don't understand these things. That's why we broke up. I can't say it was easy for me, but I don't regret it. Have you or anyone you've known ever met an abuser? Tell me in the comments, and please share this story, because I think it's really important to resist people who try to control other people like this.